You go ahead.
Okay. I'm so happy to be here and I welcome you all today, this gorgeous, gorgeous day. My name is Eunice Hooper Glover. Glover was originally spelled with an I-E-R, and my husband's parents dropped the I and made it Glover. And so we became the Glover family of Woodstock. I was born in 1799 in Madbury, New Hampshire, and I married Timothy Glover in 1818, and he was born in 1795. We raised our family right on Mount Silly in this area, right near the Glover Brook area. And we had originally 8 children. One of our children passed at the age of 2, and he's buried right here, right behind you, William. I have so much to tell you about my children that what I've decided to do was read to you the letter I wrote to them just before I died in 1859. I just thought it was something I really felt so strongly about, to talk to them. I couldn't always see them because they lived such distances, and in that time frame it was hard to get to where they were. One was in Manchester, New Hampshire, some were in Littleton and Franconia, and the roads were just so poor back then that I couldn't always get to see them. And I didn't always hear from them, and it was very hard. So bear with me while I read to you the letter I wrote to them just before I passed away. Dear children, I sit by the fire here in the homestead, knowing that I will meet my Lord in a very short time. I wanted to leave you this message of love and remembrance, knowing that I am unable to travel to see you at this time. You've all been a constant joy to me over the years, and I feel blessed to have you children survive to adulthood. When I do pass, I will be buried at the cemetery next to William, who was born in 1819, only lived for 2 short years. Having the rest of you, the 7 of you, survive to adulthood through all the illnesses of childhood and continue to be strong individuals was such a blessing for me. Lorenzo, you were my first son after William. Thank you for staying on the farm with your father and me to help us on Mount Silly. We only thought it was right to pass the farm on to you when you married Lavina Barron, who was born right here in Woodstock. Lavina was the daughter of Benjamin M. Barron and the granddaughter of Benjamin Barron, who was a veteran of the Revolutionary War. Lavina was such a loving daughter-in-law, and I know how hard it was when you lost your 2 children in infancy. But I know that you've been blessed with 2 more beautiful, healthy children. Lorenzo, your work as a blacksmith in the town of Campton certainly has made your father and I very proud. My darling first daughter, Diana, you were born in 1823, 2 years after Lorenzo. How happy we were to receive your husband, George Pinkham Brown, into the family when you married in July of 1843. Together you have worked the farm in Franconia with your children. We were so sad when your young child died at the age of 10. This is a time that we are living when illnesses and diseases and the war take the lives of our loved ones when we least expect it. Was it so silly of me to name you our 4th child, William? We had lost our first William at the age of 2, 6 years ago. But William, our love for you continues as it does for our firstborn. But with you we shared so much and enjoyed hearing the stories of your work as a carpenter. Your marriage to Statina Stearns has kept you in the faith, but we have missed your visits so much, and the time between your letters seems very long. Because you live in Manchester, New Hampshire, it just seems so far away because the route is so hard to travel at times. Franklin, such a loving son you have been. After you married Phoebe Streeter in 1852 and moved north to Littleton, we missed seeing you and the children, but we enjoyed hearing about the many stories of their adventures in your letters from such a beautiful area as Littleton. Our heart ached for you when 2 of your 9 children passed so young. Son, Ivory, your bride of just 5 years, Lucina Sarah McCulloch, is such a joy. Your move to Franconia recently to start your family has us wondering how you are doing. Please write to us. Please let us know how you are. The time in between visits is too long, and at this time I am unable to make the trip to you. Mary Jane, my second daughter. You were born in 1835, and we were overjoyed to have another daughter. The boys, Lorenzo, William, Franklin, and Ivory, thought that you were just amazing. Diana, too, being our daughter already, was so thrilled to have a sister, and she was old enough at age 12 to help me with you as an infant. Your marriage to George Cook just a year ago in 1858 gave you so much contentment. I hope you will have children and live a long and happy life together. I'm sorry I will not be here to be a part of it. And my baby, Julia Ann, my youngest, the last of our children. You were born in 1838, and you married a local boy, Charles Darling. My heart breaks for the loss of your daughter, Carrie, this year at just 1 month old. It is our great loss, too. I hope you will have more children who will be healthy and strong to look after you and Charles in your later years. I am leaving you all now, and your father, my loving husband, Timothy. I was so fortunate to lose only 1 child in my lifetime, as these times are so hard. My life was a good one, and I certainly blessed by all of you. You can see the thread, the similar thread that runs through this of loss of life, and as well as children being born and large families having large families. It just has to have been a very, very hard time for people. But I see now that they did have large families because of that. Some interesting things during that time period, just to step away from being Eunice for a second. In 1799, when I was born, George Washington passed away that year. And the president at that time was John Adams. The president when I died was Franklin Pierce, the president, the one man from New Hampshire who was our president. 1 son and 1 son-in-law served in the Civil War. 1 son of Eunice and 1 son-in-law. One was Ivory, her son Ivory, which I thought is a very interesting first name. I'm wondering if he was pale when he was born, maybe, or something, but I tried to figure out why she chose the name Ivory. It was just so different. But Ivory enlisted after his mother had passed away in 1862, and he was in the 13th New Hampshire Regiment at Philadelphia. He was only gone 1 year. He returned in 1863. And Julia Ann, her baby, Eunice's baby, her husband Charles Darling, was wounded in the fall of 1862 at White Sulphur Springs, Virginia. He was in Company B, New Hampshire, 6th Infantry Regiment. I don't know if you have any other questions about Eunice, but I found her to be, I just can't believe how amazing person she must have been. To be so loving and to have such a large family and have them so spread out and not be able to see them as much as she'd like to. She ended up with 37 grandchildren, and out of 37 grandchildren, 21 survived to adulthood. It had to have been a very, very hard period to be living in. She was 60 years old, and in actuality, I was looking at this stone here. Timothy, I have, died at the age of 78 in 1873, having been born in 1795. Would have made him 78 years old. So I'm not sure if I have the correct date of 1795, but it's down as 80 years. But that was pretty good for that time frame, I believe.
And the baby?
The baby William, which is right here, was 2 years, a little over 2, actually 2.5 years old.
Oh,
that
this
was their
is
first son.
Oh,
right
over there. Okay.
Yeah, that little
Yeah.
one there. Yeah.
Okay.
And
Well, thank you.
thank you very much.
Very interesting.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.